could be an ace for the sleeve here for Envy, because TSM are playing the vanilla comp, one that they've already brought out even in their past Ascension run last year with a whole different roster. And this time you're going to have to try to figure out how you can play against a double dive that will be very difficult for somebody like Alvin Boy to really try to anchor up towards that site. Remember, this is still the old patch, no new changes, so there's not too many angles for you to hide behind. So this will be a tough matchup now for TSM, and I was going to see something new, but hopefully the preparation comes through.
Now slipping by the defenses. Envy with that mid control. Had Pop in a position to try and get information, and Vora just finds such a lucky shot. And then we go to follow up into trade, and he just takes him out. An arrow through the heart of Exter. What was that?
I mean, you got saturated like you really do. You're trying to stall as much as you can towards mid, but at least you get your pick, and you also made sure that you took control of Spike. Look at the last 3 players of TSM now all over it. A Sheriff in the hands of Timotino. There's no util left except for Inspire with the smokes, which, by the way, we don't really see Inspire play smokes too much, and they are playing a composition that is not playing a Cypher. So that is another ace here for Envy, and we got to know what Inspire can bring here to the plate as this Astra for the team.
Kind of creating that chaos, and Inspire
30 seconds left.
Costed him a lot to recover that spike. 10 HP. The chase is on, and all the timing, and he already has 7 tagged. There needs to be some help. 7's got other ideas. The objective is down. He's done his part, and he finishes off the pistol for TSM.
And that was gonna look quite dangerous there for TSM, and almost you would have had those signs come out of the "when does TSM play" meme if that was a round lost by TSM, because just one smoke, you isolated one fight, and only Inspire walks in and still wins it against GMD. Missing that a little bit of a detail there for the side of TSM on how they could really cover up that spike. And thankfully, 7, who's been on point throughout this whole series, is able to win that 1v1 against Inspire, who he also is usually quite good in the clutch. Another one of those great starts for TSM, as they always have a hot start in pistol rounds at the beginning of these maps.
Envy had a bit of a fumble at the beginning, just even losing that one person, or is it Exter? The shock bolt. Just Envy know they have to play their cleanest Valorant if they want to go up against the Kings of North America. Envy have swapped sides now to the B site, and the camera's gonna watch this all happen, and Alvin Boy within safety could still get some information. All he knows is that the spike is down, and there's threats, and Envy haven't been able to really suppress as much just with pistols. This could be flawless for TSM to kind of build some momentum early, and there's a 2-man flank, and it's still ringing true. No one will stand here for Envy, and they have to bow down to TSM.
And looking at TSM, they're doing a good job at least on understanding where they're playing soft, how they could really rotate. So right now, GMD's just making sure Alvin Boy doesn't leave him hanging, so puts up the highest heads up as possible, but you got to keep it in peripheral, GMD. You got to keep it in peripheral. That said, though, just this right here, Alvin Boy's placed so far back in the site, has a camera to watch us scale up, and all they need to do is to stall this front side so that the flankers could come in. And that probably is one of the game plans here for TSM, so they could play this flood retake against the team, because for the side of Envy, it's a lot of these dash in, recall, play for shock darts, play for gravity wells in the pulse plant. So you have to make sure that you're winning on both extremities here for TSM when you're anchoring these soft sites.
Maybe it's that early recon too. Just okay, well, no heads up. Timotino still re-challenges that. That's so crazy how he gets away with literal murder.
Yeah,
and
that's
Envy can't punish.
Been the bread and butter for Tino and for TSM as well. Just disrespecting spams, util, finds his timing, dashes away, very Mata-like. And that's a huge player advantage to start in their bonus.
Now Envy definitely gonna be desperate in this round, and even from the compositional changes, kind of threw us all for a loop. And TSM were the ones that surprised them. We'll see how it ends here for Poppin and Inspire. Could try and isolate. Oh, the one tap addresses 7 by his name, and oh jeez, Envy getting a little frustrated. Inspire in a 1 versus 2 can't take the heat. 3-0 now for TSM.
That's why sometimes if you're watching this game, there's a lot of question marks that will probably pop up in chat saying, huh, what the hell's happening? Why is everybody peeking one by one into these areas on the side of Envy just to try to take control of Tetris right over here? It's because you do have players like Poppin and even across the board could do these type of plays that could swing it back in your favor. And that allows for you, they have such good firepower that they go for hero plays that could cover up and gain some map control for your side as you're getting snuffed out and stuffed towards the A site default that you started showing on that end for the side of Envy. Fortunately, it didn't work out. They still did some pretty decent damage, but that was a bonus round for TSM. And when that doesn't happen, when those hero plays and you're trying to find your own timings because you're still, aka the rankers here for these 5 players across the board, I think now this timeout for Stunner as the coach is to try to clean things up a little bit more on how they really want to execute towards the site. Be a little bit more as a group to play these contacts so you could actually go for the swings. I know it's understandable that you feel like you have these timings from time to time, but sometimes just the numbers guarantees the timing also for your end.
Just the earliest timeout we've had in this series. Like, Envy are such in an unfamiliar territory from a map they haven't showed in officials. And I mean, my cope was maybe they just played a lot in ranked, or they scrim it a lot and they've prepped this very, especially for TSM. But something desynced, something is in the minds of Envy, and I don't think it's good. And I think this is a great time to have that coach come in, as you said, and to settle everybody down, iron out the kinks, and Envy with the usual kind of Sova recon really early with the owl drone. Ready to teleport deep into the site. Take advantage of the timing. Wow! Bora just tucks KaneZera to bed, and now the pings. Envy have to get into cover, and they cower. But up ahead is Egster with a Bucky and was hoping to get lucky with TSM closer. But now out of range, Cosmic Divide seals in. Maybe he can get more mileage out of this Bucky if 7 crosses that threshold. But the Hunter's Fury kind of was awkward, and Envy could have had a real chance to get more value out of that Bucky. Now TSM, they start to break in the smoke, though. Could be fun for Ion, and he comes out of the smoke, and there's just no chance. TSM are on a tear.
And my question was, how do you adapt and how do you play into the vanilla comp, the Ascent comp that was brought into Abyss? When this map first came out, a lot of teams were just thinking that you could play this type of style because it's kind of like just an Ascent. Take control of middle. Taking control of middle allows for you to get some better splits. Or you could just go out for some big 4-0, 4-1, 5-1 site hits and when you're on your attack side. But look how they're playing the defense too. The weaknesses that you have is that you don't have too much util to stall on that side, so they use the spacing to their advantage. They understand the reach and the range that you get from the double dash of the Waylay, and he punishes him right inside that smoke, being Vora onto KaneZera. And the flood retake was perfect too, to the T again. I don't know if you've noticed as well, Lemon Kiwi, the nerdy trap that was placed by Alvin Boy. It's a vertical line right at the top of default too, to try to stop and get a ping here, as if anybody's trying to dash through right at this spot over here. Unfortunately, no trips that time placed around, so you can't get the trip kill.
A deadly duelist duo. We've been waiting to see them. Gonna be a good duo going in, and usually they've just been at each other's hip, and TSM, First Blood, able to even suppress even more with the Hunter's Fury and KaneZera. His location revealed. He's fine. They do go from TSM. So good. They keep getting away with it, Vans.
Yeah, and pitting Timotino to watch over that middle, anticipating the lurk out from Inspire. It almost feels like, even though Envy never brought out this composition on Abyss, it feels like it's already been studied and read from the side of TSM somehow. They're just, once again, in the right spots, trying to get these picks. Even the stalls that you're trying to do here on the top of Heaven's side with the position for KaneZera is just not enough. They're not playing as a group right now for Envy. They're not trading as a team, and that's been the most difficult thing for them to play in the post plans when they're not really in these tradable spots.
And when you're not running an ISO, you don't have that, like, that wall that would maybe dissuade someone from buying an op. So see if the Waylay will still be the right choice. Double dash is quick to get the space. Now Timotino's up to no good. Do Envy fall for it again? He's like, I don't care if I'm pinged. Come at me, bro. Dash is galore, man. What? An obstacle course. The gymnasts are at it.
Oh my God.
Sarah's the tip of the spear. Delivers the Bucky. But TSM will not take this lying down. 7 big double weakens Envy. But they're still ahead. And they got the spike down. Vora could have some time here to get a recon in, drone in with the smokes in place. This is why Inspire is on the Astra.
Last player standing.
Oh, Envy ahead of the game. But Vora has to know they're within the smoke. Does he just spam through it? How does he address this? Waits for it to expire. No way, even the Bucky flicks. And it's a thrifty for Envy to break that dry spell.
And it's the recall that breaks his crosshair placement as the lines are blurring probably his vision and his aim. But I gotta say, the entry from Kane, he was basically doing clay pigeon shooting. Goes for the pull, and Timotino's the ditch, and he gets popped in the air like that. Dude, the fact they're able to get 3 kills with the Bucky, the most value you can get with this type of buy, is just incredible for the side of Envy. Not the type of round you were expected this time around, but it just comes to show as well for Timotino. You can't disrespect the line that well until you go for an up drop like that.
I don't think Timotino respects anyone on the other side. Oh, I thought that was going to be another one. Oh, now it's just fodder. Oh my God, he's still alive. What is this plot armor? What is this defense?
Oof.
That side is impenetrable, but the op at least still there.
Yeah, and they were just trying to move a little bit more quickly for the side of Envy after winning that thrifty round. So instead of going for an owl drone clear, they went for the recon dart, and the elevation shown by Timotino kind of threw them for a loop. It was an easy pick towards the end as you're trying to run forward right over here. Boom. And that's the other thing that I was about to mention. If Timotino is going to play like just a passive line to look down the angle with the op, he could definitely get run down by that double dash by Kane Zero, and that could be that full counter to that play. Now you're going to try to potentially take control of Heaven here as Kane Zero is looking to utilize the dimensional drift to ult with.
And okay, no, saving the waylay ult.
No way.
Oh, there it is. That's what I've been wanting to see from Extra, even since Sunset. Be able to measure that. Be precise, and TSM will be on their way. And with an op too, but still the economy swells for TSM, so now they could really try to put Envy in an uncomfortable position. And well, peekaboo again from Poppin. Kane Zera down. This is a little scary from Envy despite how this started. At least time should be on their side, and Inspire's like going exploring through the middle of the map, maybe leaving Exter all by himself. But he fends for himself. 7 trades, 2 versus 1, and 7's just out of time and out of luck and will not be able to keep the rifle.
I need to know. I hope we have that on the replay, but how the hell did King get an entry on the top of A Heaven with a classic? Again, you're trying to do some sort of a combination, just like a Sova ult with the Yoru ult, but instead just dash, dude, right click classic right into the smoke on Vora. I mean, a little bit of a revenge from what happened in the past when Vora popped him inside the smoke at the at Ivy on over towards the A site, or over towards B site rather. But even then, another one of those lower crazy buys that comes out for the side of Envy, and it's almost could be the recipe to success. Maintain your speed.
Let Envy cook. They're on a 2-round win streak. The Hunter's Fury, man. God, Poppin does it again. It's almost better with the ult than anything else. This could set up Envy on track for big wins. We'll see what TSM can do, but oh, they've been revealed over in the top window, and Poppin has so much in his arsenal to keep them stuck. They gotta expect he could climb up the rope, and TSM take their time to scout him out. Now the op is still a threat. There's angles, and Envy find themselves on an island with no raft, and it's a 1v1 on both sides. Ion's got his. It all lies on Vora. And he's just stuck between both. And Envy make it 3 in a row.
So that's what we're talking about. If you're going to start plowing with the double dive here for this side of Envy, that could be the recipe of success. They were getting stalled so many times towards this B site because of potentially Alvin's utility and how they're currently set up on the defense here for TSM. They're playing soft side on B, they're playing aggro on A lines, and once you're able to just open up that side with some early util to push your opponents away from those lines, it's just easy to come in right after. And if you're giving up that space on the A side and it's not Alvinbor or somebody else, then you see how easily Envy could still take over that A side with the dive. So TSM are starting to respect that a bit.
I just can't count. Don't worry about me. But all that matters, KaneZera can shoot. Okay. I want to see that round after round from this guy. Envy, though, really being pushed to their limits. Cosmic Divide and not immediately absorbing all of that space. Envy still have to take their duels. And now they've been met by the anchors of TSM. And Bora has been evicted. Quick teleport in from Exter. And he's not done yet, but he could be done soon at 10 HP. And then KaneZera will be there to support, to be that frontliner. He's a lot healthier. And against 7, the job's pretty much done.
Yeah, and that's why TSM has to be really good in general, or in general when you're just playing against this comp, of making sure you just hit your shots, because on the contact play, there's no way you could play troll right after, where that X is on the top left of that minimap. As soon as he's spotted, there's a saturate that comes in. Then after the saturate, there's a Nova Pulse that comes in. There's no way that you can really play a hard anchor on site unless you have good support for your team across the board. It looked like, at least from the X's, that they had some sort of a Bermuda Triangle trying to trade off each other, but there's just too much, and it's really hard to take down a waylay on the recall. And TSM are continuing to get dove on and losing these rounds, and this comes a lot to the success since this timeout. You mentioned an early timeout being called out by Stunner in the past for Envy, but it seems to bring in fruit now that they were able to capitalize since these couple of thrifty rounds they had over on that A site hit.
Come.
And to our knowledge, this is not a composition that Envy have a lot of experience in, but round after round, you're seeing those improvements of synchronization between the two duelists. And it's the bread and butter of usually running the ISO and the Yoru. And we were all wondering, how is this Waylay going to fit into this picture when it's such a different tempo than an ISO? It's obviously got a completely different arsenal, a lot more, I would say, selfish, you know, compared to maybe the ISO walls. It's been such a huge part of Envy's engagements on a lot of these maps. We even just saw it on Haven. They're really having to change up their structure, and I'm already seeing KaneZera being able to support Exter a lot more, and usually it's kind of KaneZera and how they're helping him most of the time. But you know that Envy's got to pick up the slack for each other if they want to make it through to Ascension.
One thing that's good, at least for TSM so far, is how good they've been on the retakes. Although these rounds that they've lost, they haven't had a chance to go for full 5-man flood retakes on their end. They found good value playing soft site and just identifying where the Waylay pathing would be. And you could see from the openings for quite a few rounds since the timeout has always been towards these extremities and very fast paced from the side of Envy. And GMD has found some good successes towards flanks. I'd like to see potentially a little bit more of that pressure towards middle, maybe at the very beginning, and continue to play those soft sites so they could find some better value off these 5-man retakes on these sites. But instead, you're seeing here that Timotino's pulling out the op again, but holding it very, very passively. So it comes down to the high-low of both GMD. Yeah, and that flash from 7 to try to go for a play, and then it gets denied right away.
And GMD has been able to get away with that a lot more on maps like Haven, for example. And he was such a huge playmaker for TSM, and look how much Envy have been able to adapt to that and take things a little bit slower in these beginning rounds when you have Timotino kind of poking out randomly, and now you check GMD at the door. So the knife is going to reveal some numbers, though, on the Envy side.
And as soon as he hits a knife and gets the reveal off Poppin, he's already going off site here because he's afraid of this dimensional drift coming through from Megster to continue to find the position, and that the hit would be another 5-man hit. So another retake play attempt, but they're going to have one player at a disadvantage to move through, and the second time that you have KaneZera just saturating his teammate as they're trying to gain space.
Well, never mind what I said. You know, they're still working out the kinks, you know? So TSM, see if they can hold their lead, because they hold the high ground. I'll be pushing Timotino through that B link, and with the flash right through Exter, even through the pings. TSM marked. They're making their mark on this site. Now the smoke's in place. It's gonna be difficult for Envy to get vision. It's the shots. The corpse flies off. Poppin's gonna make it easier for TSM. And the spike's not even halfway, so Poppin doesn't matter if he hits this util or not, because it's a round win for Envy nonetheless.
That's what I was saying. If ever you're allowing Envy to just play off-site, look at the recons, look how much damage they're able to do, and even the gravity well, they're just going to win this off time. And if you're playing soft site and not throwing any lurks or any flanks or aggressive control on middle first to allow these flanks to happen, then you're just basically going to lose your on time, because you're wasting so much trying to re-clear towards the front part of the site against your opponents. And you're noticing here from the side of Envy, they're playing no sentinel, so there's no real trips that's going to watch flanks. And then Inspire has been 5-hitting with the rest of his team, so there's a lot of big gaps they could utilize here. And almost every single time you just saw on this minimap, they go for another pop flash peek towards main. They try to get the early control in that sense.
Ion's gonna go and get info with the ult. I mean, it was so quick. I don't even know what he saw, but the duelists are in position. Guess what? They're behind the defense. That's how quickly Envy can take over a map. But Tino silences everyone. Trades are there, but that was a spike here. This is sketchy. Kane's there, has to protect Ion with his life, but he's gonna get ahead of the game. The timings. He's tagged up Fora, goes for the free swing, but it's the bullet. Puncture through the wall. Ion on a drive-by. Oh, his cover is gonna be revealed too. They know exactly where Ion is, and he's just gonna try and find a good timing on the swing and the isolation. And GMD gets the last laugh of the first half.
They're able to maintain their lead towards the end. A 7-5 score, which looks pretty good now for TSM. Once again, this is the last map of the series against these two powerhouses of North America going into this brawl. And it has been brawly indeed. There's great spacing and pathing being done by Envy on the entry towards the A site, but Tino this time around is the one anchoring towards that B site. Just doing such a good job dancing around to fight that and help TSM win that 7th round.
And then the winner of this advances to playoffs, and TSM, after a disappointing run last year, they've made such incredible changes to their roster and just the structure. Overall, I think that's been the name of the game, is structure and consistency from TSM, because they've always been this wild card, right? They play well, they impress you, and sometimes they slip up. And we kind of saw how funny TSM can be, you know, choking these 5v1s, things like that. But they always rise up and close out when it matters, just like they did in that grand final against Envy. And North America across the board has been so strong. They prepared for this moment. In everyone's minds, very well could be a North American team ascending. They're all thinking it could be one of these two. And this is that litmus test. This is kind of the appetizer of what could be the future of Ascension, and who's looking good off the rip and who's going to keep giving that performance day after day.
This is where it's difficult for TSM too, because remember, Ascension last year, they bombed out of it in group play. Although it was a 1-2 loss versus every single one of the teams that they've played, including a lot of them being losses on Abyss. 17-19 loss in OT versus Glorious that had Luxor and Sato in the past. Then they lost to another one 6-13 against All Knights, who got 2nd place going into Ascension. And then they also lost series against 2G, with 2 of the maps going the distance at 24, and then losing to M80 in 2 maps in overtime in that series. So despite them having a bad track record during Ascension, it was always closer games. But now they come out with more grit, more fight, and more control on how they're approaching these maps, that you're starting to believe that TSM definitely does have a chance to move this into the playoffs against such a strong team, a strong powerhouse as Envy, that's been the talk of the town ever since they started in like split 3 of last year, before they started split 1 of this year to get picked up by Envy.
We've just kind of never seen Envy in an awkward position, like starting a lot of these maps at pretty big round deficits, taking their first time out at round 4. That's so unprecedented for this team. No one's really been able to make them sweat this hard, except maybe TSM and Qbert Academy. So, see if TSM can make it a 2-peat though. From the grand finals to now, the pistol for TSM on attack. One anchor, and it's Ion. And like you said, when you don't run that Sentinel, who can stop them? Well, no, nobody.
That's it. That's what happens too. You're not playing a Senti, you play a wall contact up on the over to the B site. Now at least the trips have been avoided. King Zero might get an opener here.
Oh. Who expects like 3 people to be watching the flank like that? At least that's information for the rest of Envy to know. There's so many people further back, and Inspired gets surprised. Still ends up locking in when it matters. Swinging in and out of cover. Envy yapping away, but not able to close out these duels as we're so used to them doing. So TSM take both pistols in this map.
You gotta give credit to Seven right here that you see on the screen. Not only because he's able to breathe so well with the band-aid on his nose, but the guns that he uses in this game. He's actually playing Valorant. Pistol rounds is frenzies, on ecos, stingers, when big buys, Odins. Like and it's so accurate in these close range, mid-range battles for these type of weapons that he's definitely a player that is hard to play against when you're playing these type of high octane matches. Pressure on the line. TSM getting another pistol round, an important one here. And that's what I was trying to mention too. All these losses that they had on Abyss last year in Ascension and are able to do this against Envy right now shows a revitalized TSM that looks very good this year.
Spire not gonna keep dwelling within the smoke. Now it expires. The drone is gonna tag him, and on their way is Timotino, and surprised he didn't get the immediate kill on Flipper faded away. But hey, King of the Hill, new mode in Valorant, I guess. Exter really tested the water. Wow. The swing, the one shot Exter needed to hit, he got it, but against all the buyups that TSM have, that's the best you could have hoped for. Well, or a miracle, I guess. Envy have gotten away with Thrifties, but TSM just getting that much closer to playoffs after, like you said, the group stage that they experienced. This is the result that they've been preparing for.
I respect Iron staying back towards that spawn too. Not only dying the spike, but you would expect sometimes, especially with these type of buys, you would give Seven a lure weapon like Alvin Boy's Sheriff, so he could go and try to chase these kills so they could get into the null command as soon as possible. But right now, it seems as though they're still giving a lot of respect to the team that they're playing up against. They don't want to give any orbs or any type of weapons or a confidence to Envy. So they just play back, making sure that they at least take the round in their favor and leverage this man right here on these entries, who's been so good on the Ascension so far, dropping around 60 kills on his debut stage. And so many aggressive entries that he's able to perform and open up for TSM. And with the reason why he's also on the top of the scoreboard right now for the attack side of this team.
It's important for your ace to be comfortable on that stage, to be confident. And Timotino, I think, throughout the series has been double positive in KD, so always rely on him. And Envy gonna help supply Ion with some help, and Kane Zera can be fluid around the map if needed. Very slow approach though from TSM as they're waiting to see when Vora wants to get some info for them.
Just playing basically the energy stack as tight as possible towards that ledge, passively watching the walk up if TSM is going to try to play the walk up contact again.
Ooh, a little unsteady from Timotino, uncharacteristic, and TSM really needed him for this entry, especially with the smoke in their way. So TSM will just have to be satisfied with grabbing the orb and leaving, because they've already done some clearance around the other side of the map, especially those early flashes from Seven just to try and sell a fake at A. Now rotating over, Alvin Boy will watch their back, and TSM think about A this time, and Envy are there to match them. 3 versus 3 on the site. Vora with a deep recon, and it does get a ping onto Exter. So you know there's a threat on the right. And not up close. Exter holds his ground. Teleporting in though is TSM's GMD. Oh, those vocal players down. TSM silenced, muted. And Envy get to bring a lot of rifles into the next round.
You see how important it is for TSM to keep Timotino alive and these site hits for the space that he create. Because as soon as you go for the drone into the A site, nobody can really follow up behind it. Seven walks in alone and hoping to get a pick as Vora's doing his best to try to get a ping out. And as you said, an orthodox miss by Timotino losing that fight really neuters him to be able to get any value of the late hit into the A site for a plant. Although remember, they had the bonus round previously. They converted the one in the first half, but not this one here. They still have a bye moving into this fourth round of the second half.
Fire is a big risk.
Team, hello?
Just as the orb was grabbed. Yeah, TSM a bit asleep at the wheel. Usually Timotino would be all over that, like butter on toast, and he can still make do. Top window through the wall. Holy, Poppin keeps hold of the site. TSM keep hold of the spike. We'll see if Alvin Boy can sneak up. Oh, Poppin knows there's an unwelcomed guest in their household. Just happy to greet Alvin Boy once he rings the bell. TSM wait for the smoke to expire too at main, and there's Alvin Boy right as Envy look away. Talk about timing. See who Lady Luck will bless this time, but wow, while all this is happening, GMD is way deep in the mid, and we'll have to regroup with Vora.
That's the thing, because they know where the two players are at over on the A side, and there's only a soft hold on B. And Iron just got opened up, and that's a hold, a knife out for a plant.
Left.
Vora is going to get it for the team. Recon will be available, has full kit to play an open post plan while GMD cuts to rotates. If they're able to turn this around here to 3v5, they'll be quite happy here for TSM.
Yeah, Poppin versus Vora through main. That is going to be the duel to worry about. Already some pressure here from Poppin. Drone versus Recon. And then GMD keeps Inspire out of the equation. Poppin with the fadeaway 16 HP like another day at the office. But GMD's a lot healthier, but he's looking the wrong way. Poppin stands up.
TSM had everything to win that 2v2. And unfortunately, GMD thought that he found a timing to move around the back of the site instead of trying to hold the angle with the Spike's planet for you. When he could walk into his crosshair, but he was afraid because of his positions given away after that duel against Inspire of the rotate back. But that was such a nice attempt. Remember, a 3v5. I was expecting for all three players to save already to move into the next round, because 7 could still buy. You could get close to the Bladestorm already on Timotino, and then you still have the null command to work with. But Poppin comes up huge, and yes, calls out the big bang after he picks up that 4K. But here is probably a big ult round for the side of TSM to moving quickly for a B plant.
Even Envy have good options, and Inspire will maybe get the Cosmic Divide off the orb on the right side. That won't matter for now, because all eyes are on Timotino and what he can accomplish with GMD teleporting in on his perch. Hunter's Fury, GMD may be looking to try and deny that, but it's going to stay measured and stay by his team, and they're going to need him more than ever, because Ion is a menace! What is this? Beheads all of TSM within the realms of safety and all that work, but was it for nothing? 2 versus 2. After a 3K from Ion, not over yet. Timotino never misses, at least with the ult. Inspire has to still save this. Ion is gonna be so pissed if this doesn't work out. There's injuries and this should be clean if Inspire can just... Oh, no! He knows he shouldn't have gone for the star. Pressure really getting to them.
Definitely. I think that's one of the rare moments where Inspire fumbles, who's usually so good and calm in these scenarios. I thought that he made a step 2, that Alvin Boy heard it and that he could just watch it easily, but that was an easy first kill. But you have to look at how Timotino played that to anchor up the site for the team. Despite the 3K coming out from Iron, look at how he plays it over here. He floats up in the air just to break the crosshair placement of Kane Zero with the op, and then just goes for the Bladestorm, daggers to the chest, and wins that round for the team with the clutch. And that not only stalls the 3K from Ions, but the 4K clutch out from Timotino, out from Pop in the previous round. And TSM are looking primed now to try to close out this map. Hunter's Fury at the ready. It does get the ping, and he's trying to take Iron out.
How is Ion supposed to hold this site by himself? Of course he has to play further back. I mean, he got absolutely rolled on his first encounter on TSM's pistol. But now he's in the corner. He's one and done, and he's finished for sure. Timotino gets flash, and he'll have to take a step back. Dimensional drift. Extra has to assess, and Not gonna have a lot of time to capitalize on this.
Wow.
TSM aren't you gonna let you think?
Standing.
The brain splatter. And Inspire has to revitalize this team. Look, the setup was there, but TSM were just quicker. And it's up to 11. TSM steps away from a playoff appearance.
That is so smart here from Alvin Boy. So while Eggster is trying to find information towards that site, those two players that he spots are actually calling, he's on me, he's on me. So Alvin Boy just watches that line for everybody flooding back behind Eggster's ult. Easy picks. Look at that flick onto Kane Zero on top of that. That was so insane. I almost dropped an F-bomb. That's how clean that was. It turns out to be a nice cleanup towards the end for TSM with the... Looks like it was a force buy coming through here for Envy. I only saw Eggster with a Bucky, but now they have nothing to work with within this round. TSM now almost definitely looking at even series point this round.
And a bunch of sheriffs too.
I know exactly.
Kane Zero got Tino to 23 HP. That could have made the whole difference. They know that a lot of the times TSM fall like dominoes when they don't have that jet to make the space. GMD doesn't have
Oh
ult.
my gosh. Breaking ankles. This is such a good call by Vora. He calls for the fake, pulls out all his util towards the A site, cuts the rotate. Alvin Boy kills another one. The B site's open. And TSM, they have an open site for a plant.
Tino on. Thought it was going to be a sniper's perch, but he'll just look at the B link. No high ground presence. They're happy with the smoke. And Vora's chilling. He's winning every duel. Okay, thanks for winning the round for TSM. Match point up soon. Inspire with the Guardian. Just hoping to do as much damage as possible at this point. Screw it. Oh, okay, you got the pyramid over there.
Yeah. It's a Congo line after Vora's contact. There was no way he was going to win that one. Okay, there's still at least other fans outside of the 3 TSM fans in the crowd. I don't think they were able to get all free tickets, right?
How many tickets does Glyph have? I'm just wondering.
But if anything, man, TSM are looking like a different beast on this map. There's a lot less overheating from the type of playstyle that TSM had in the past, and they're looking like they're really playing off each other quite well. Now Envy really has to dig down deep into everything. They already called the timeouts. I don't think they have anything left, right? Which is why nothing's coming through. NBS, he's sticking to the plan that's tried and true, and Timo almost got that pick there onto Inspire.
Oh, just the disrespect to the util. Timo does not cower. He puts fear into the eyes of Envy. And 3 of Envy get pulled to that right side as a response to that knife and the early aggression. And TSM follow the lead of Alvin Boy. If you not follow him down mid, I don't know about all that, but hey, you could really get a backstab going on Envy. They don't watch out.
Yeah, well, they already forced out the TP from Ion all the way towards the A site. So once again, a nice little pivot being called by Vora, thinking that we're weak side on B. Alvin Boy, once again, a responsibility to cut the rotates. He's going to hear this on the spawn side, too.
Almost took too much time for Envy to rotate out of A. Took a recall from King Zero to really prove that, or to confirm that. At least Envy, they clutch up when it matters. Paranoia won't be making contact. GMD will absorb that space, and 7 still has the no command if needed, and feeling pretty confident about being able to close this out. Playoffs on the line, and TSM want to rewrite the history of the past and Inspire and Ion. They come together for maybe a final time in this map, in this series. Now take us back to reload, and Timo window to engage. And Inspire has to do just that in a 1v1 against 7. And he keeps Envy still in this game.
Oh my god! What a retake and hero play from those players of Envy's side. What was that, a 2 versus 4? And it came down to just great shots and Inspire clutching the 1 versus 2. For the first time, not really playing off each other here for TSM. The null command after the contact. They thought that they had it pretty much checkmarked for the side of TSM, that they just kind of fell through in terms of how they wanted to communicate with each other to play that post plant. GMD again caught out in the open, trying to find a different place to play from. And he could have been the winning condition there if he stayed towards the back of Troll. That gives a fighting chance here for Envy, and we know that Envy, even from witnessing the first map, that they have what it takes to bring the comeback to push this into OT. And if we go into OT, this is TSM's abyss at Ascension repeating itself again.
2 last rounds from Envy have been off of clutches. 2v4s, 2vx's. I swear when Envy start losing, they only get better. But perfection is demanded when TSM are on match point, series point. You can see that now there's some drones, there's some action in mid. Kane's there as a moment, and man, he gets humbled yet again. He's used to being the carry, and TSM just throw him out into the bin. TSM, though, they're still trying to get B going, and all the anchors removed, and so are the rest of Envy. TSM advance to Ascension playoffs.
And qualifying with confidence on the last map against Envy. Turning around their story from Ascension of last year. Again, going 0-4 in groups, but this time 2-0 in 2025 to make sure they at least reach the playoffs. They only need 2 more wins to try to make it and ascend to the VCTs. While for Envy, they will have tomorrow still to try to qualify into the playoffs. And Lemon Kiwi, I'd be scared. Any team that has to face off against Envy into the lower brackets, it will not be an easy task.
The resilience of TSM to have that map 1 end the way that it did, and even had Hastro tweet that comeback from Envy was history for the org. That 11-3 comeback for TSM to still go into the next map like it never happened, and to go back to back, to go to playoffs, to make it a 2-peat against a team that dominated so far before, but the fans stay loyal to TSM and will go with them into playoffs to see if TSM